How did Germany emerge from defeat in the First World War? After World War I in 1918, the Weimar Republic was established. Kaiser Wilhelm had already abdicated on the 9th of November as he was blamed by his people of Germany for the huge loss of the war. So the Weimar Republic was put in place in February 1919. It started in the small town of Weimar because Berlin was too dangerous at the time. They wanted to achieve a complete democratic country, however not everyone in Germany felt the same. From the very beginning, the Weimar Republic was faced with huge problems. They had to deal with the huge complications already created by the Treaty of Versailles. It left Germany in social and political unrest, and many people were angry that they had signed the treaty. Many small groups, such as the Spartakists, wanted a change in government, and there were a number of uprisings. For example, the Kapp Putsch in Berlin on the 13th of May in 1920. Wolfgang Kapp was an ex-soldier who was furious with the rules of the treaty. He wanted to give Germany back their pride. Another example of an uprising was in January 1919, when 50,000 Spartakists rebelled in Berlin, led by Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht. To be able to control the revolt and stop the uprising of the communist parties, the government used the groups of volunteer soldiers called the Freikorps. These soldiers were ex-army and hated communism. They stopped the revolt and executed the leaders. At the time, there was also many economic problems. Germany had been left in a state of chaos after the war, and thousands of families were starving. Germany was forced to pay reparations through the Treaty of Versailles, so there was no money to help Germany recover. As there was a lack of money, the country had to pay Europe in other ways, such as material goods. However, the country was truly bankrupt. All the reserves of gold had been spent during the war, and in 1922 they failed to pay their second year of reparations. The Weimar Republic printed more banknotes to try and pay reparations. However, this meant the value of money fell, and soon it meant people were paying £1,450 just for a loaf of bread, £5,000 for one egg. After the hyperinflation, which started in 1923, many rebellions started as different groups tried to take power from the Weimar. Communists took over the governments of Saxony and the Thuringia, as well as the Rhineland, and declared it independent. The costs of fighting that war were enormous, both socially and politically. The Treaty of Versailles was announced by the Allies, and Germany was found guilty of causing the First World War and all of the damage resulting from it. This caused major social problems. One was a lack of enough food to feed the hungry population. This was due mainly to the Treaty of Versailles and the British military blockade of shipping ports that cut off food supplies. By the end of the war in 1918, the average adult German was living on 1,000 calories a day, which is half the amount needed for a normal healthy diet. The famine encroached upon the population of Central Europe, which made people very hungry and weak. The impact increased population death and spread of disease. Thousands of civilians died, usually from typhus or a disease that their weakened body could not resist. One very dangerous virus at the time was the Spanish influenza. 400,000 German civilians and 186,000 soldiers died as the influenza spread across Europe during the summer of 1918. Also, as a result of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany lost 10% of coal reserves. This meant that coal was running short, and because gas and electricity were made from coal, there were power cuts as well. In many cities, all public buildings, such as cinemas and theatres, were closed down. As well as this, lights in all apartment blocks were switched off early. The textile factories produced army uniforms in the war, so warm clothing for civilians ran short. Day life involved long working hours, poor health, and little or no recreation. Due to the struggles that Germany had to face, they did not fully emerge till much later on, when jobs were created in preparation for the Second World War.